Can you imagine facing an empire, countless legions, with only a handful of brothers by your side? What spirit compels a man to stand against such an overwhelming tide, knowing the end is true? Across the ancient world, empires rose, their might crushing all who dared to whisper defiance. Yet, a tiny spark, a fragile flame, refused to be extinguished by even the grandest conquests. For centuries, this land of rugged mountains and shimmering seas fostered a unique, unyielding spirit. Imagine an empire so vast, its reach so absolute, stretching from distant lands to your very doorstep. A colossal force, an unthinking titan, casting its shadow over everything you held so dear. What do you do when the world's mightiest power demands submission, demands your very freedom? Most would bow, as history teaches. They would choose survival over seemingly futile resistance. But some, bless their unyielding hearts, chose another path. A path paved with courage. They chose defiance. Not a loud scream, but a quiet, firm resolve that echoed through time. This wasn't just about a battle. It was protecting something infinitely more precious than land. It was about their world's soul, their way of life, their freedom, their children's future. And so they chose a place, a narrow gateway where the land itself whispered a challenge. Thermopylae, the hot gates, a place destined to be synonymous with unyielding, legendary defiance. Here, a story unfolded that still inspires us, millennia later, with its profound raw power. It is the story of few against many, in the ultimate, unwavering expression of human will. An empire's shadow loomed, vast and terrible, threatening to consume all light, all hope. But within those hearts, a different kind of strength resided, a strength born of conviction. This wasn't merely a battle, it was a profound testament to the indomitable human spirit. Thermopylae became more than just a place. It became an idea, a whispered legend, eternal. Join us as we journey back to feel this incredible story, this brand of defiance. The year was 480 BCE. A new dawn broke, yet a heavy shadow already stretched across the world. Far to the east, an empire of staggering might was awakening, its reach almost beyond imagining. This was the Achaemenid Persian Empire, a colossal realm unlike any known before or since. It spanned continents, holding countless peoples and cultures under its singular, unwavering will. From the banks of the Indus to the shores of the Aegean, its wealth was simply staggering. Imagine riches beyond kings' wildest dreams, fueling an engine of power unrivaled on earth. At its heart sat Xerxes I, the great king, the king of kings and lord of all. He inherited a world-spanning empire, yet his ambition burned for more, for something truly ultimate. His military might was a force of nature, an unstoppable tide of humanity and steel. From every corner of his immense realm, a diverse host was summoned, an army of empires. Their numbers were legend, their discipline absolute, their purpose clear, to conquer. Far to the west, nestled amidst the sea, lay the small, independent city-states of Greece. Their way of life was built on freedom, fierce independence, and the rugged spirit of self-determination. They cherished their customs, their gods, and their unique understanding of what it meant to be free. But a shadow, immense and inescapable, was slowly creeping towards their sun-drenched shores. The very existence of independent Greece was an affront, a challenge to Xerxes' vision of total dominion. His ambition was singular, to bring all of Greece, every single city, state, to its knees. No corner of that defiant land would be left untouched by the might of his sprawling empire. For Greece, this was not merely a border dispute, but an existential struggle for survival. Their way of life, their very identity, was threatened by this unstoppable, overwhelming force. The imbalance of power was profound, a chasm so wide it seemed utterly impossible to bridge. One empire commanded resources beyond measure, a military machine unlike anything ever assembled. The other, a collection of disparate city-states, united by little more than fear and shared heritage. It felt like a whisper against a roar, a flickering candle flame against a raging inferno. If Greece fell, its unique contributions, its budding democracy, would be forever extinguished. The world would lose something precious, a different way of thinking, of seeing the world. Xerxes' march was not just military. It was an ideological conquest, a suppression of difference. Yet, even against such overwhelming odds, the human spirit, when truly tested, finds a way. This immense challenge, this seemingly insurmountable threat, would forge something truly extraordinary. It would lead to a story of defiance, a legend etched into the very stones of time. Across sun-baked lands, an empire stretched, vast and mighty, its will a single, unwavering force. But westward, a different spirit stirred, a patchwork of small worlds, fiercely individual, often at odds. Yet, a thread wove through them all. Shared stories, shared gods, a deep, unspoken sense of belonging. From Persia's golden throne, a decree was issued, a demand for earth and water, for submission. These simple symbols carried immense weight, an expectation of unwavering loyalty, a gesture of absolute surrender. To accept meant peace, albeit a peace under another's thumb, a quiet relinquishing of freedom. In hushed halls, fear whispered, tempting some to bow, to avoid the inevitable storm approaching. The weight of their choices pressed heavily, a choice between subjugation and the terrifying prospect of war. Some, seeing the overwhelming might, chose to bend, believing resistance would only lead to utter ruin. Others wavered, caught between the siren call of safety and the fierce, burning ember of independence. The shadow of an empire lengthened, casting a pall over every city, every home, every cherished belief. Then there was Sparta, a place forged in iron and discipline, a heart that beat to a different rhythm. To this proud, unyielding city, the Persian envoys arrived, bearing their customary demand, their fateful message. Before the kings, the words were spoken, earth and water, a polite request, a thinly veiled ultimatum. A hush fell. You could almost feel the weight of history gathering, pressing down on that very moment. In those steely eyes, you could read generations of fierce independence, a refusal to ever truly yield. For Sparta, freedom was not a luxury. It was the very breath they took, the bedrock of their existence. And so the Spartan response came, not with diplomacy or fear, but with a stark, brutal truth. They had asked for earth and water. Sparta would offer them a taste of their own uncompromising world. There was no negotiation, no soft words. Only the cold, unyielding hand of Spartan justice, swift and absolute. Their reply was not in words, but in deed, a chilling answer for a disrespectful imperial demand. Into the depths, the envoys were cast, a stark, uncompromising message echoing in the Spartan air. There lay their earth and water, a brutal, visceral symbol of Spartan, unshakable defiance against tyranny. It was a moment that sent shockwaves, declaring to the world that some freedoms were not for sale. Two worlds, two utterly different beliefs, now stood at a precipice, their paths irrevocably diverging. Here was the ultimate clash of ideologies, absolute power against the fierce, burning heart of autonomy. From this moment, the line was drawn, stark and clear, leaving no room for retreat or compromise. War became not a possibility, but a certainty, a tragic consequence of an unyielding spirit. It would be a heroic struggle, a fight not just for land, but for the very soul of their world. This defiance, this courage, would echo through time, shaping the narrative of freedom forevermore. The quiet before the storm often carries the heaviest weight, a whispered premonition in the wind. History's whispers begin now. An empire stirred, its shadow stretching westward. The scale of what was coming felt almost unimaginable, a crushing force. A ripple of fear moved through the lands. A cold hand grasped hearts. They knew their world was changing. Choices had to be made, impossible choices that would echo through time. Their people's future rested on them. But somewhere, a stubborn spark ignited, a profound resolve hardening. They would not simply yield to the inevitable. And so, Their gaze turned to a place, a natural gate, a narrow pass known simply as Thermopylae. It was a bottleneck, a choke point where few could stand against many. Nature's own defensive masterpiece awaited them. The hot gates, they called it, not just for springs but perhaps for the fiery sacrifice it would witness. This was the only road, the unavoidable path for any army seeking to march south into Greece's heartland. The sea, on one side, offered no passage. Its cold embrace was as formidable a barrier as any mountain, and on the other, mountains, steep and treacherous, seemed to scrape the sky, forming a natural, unyielding fortress. This narrow strip of land was Greece's throat, its vital artery. To hold it was to hold destiny itself. One could almost feel the silent echoes of countless journeys, the whispers of ages within these stones. To look upon it was to understand its profound truth. Here, one could make a valiant, desperate stand. It was a place of no retreat, a final gamble, a place to buy time, whatever the ultimate cost. And in this moment, a king emerged from legend. Leonidas, of the Achaemenid line, a true Spartan heart. He carried the weight of his people, their freedom, their future, upon broad shoulders, a heavy, somber crown. He knew what lay ahead, the grim calculus. Yet his resolve was unwavering, forged in Sparta's iron will. A true leader, not of grand speeches, but of quiet strength. He led by stark, simple example. He knew the farewells were final. This was not merely a battle, it was a deeply personal, sacred commitment, but he was not alone. From across Greece, a few, a courageous few, answered the desperate, urgent call. Not armies, not legions, but a brotherhood of warriors. Their numbers, tragically, were but a mere whisper. Men from Phocis, from Thespiae, and others stood shoulder to shoulder, each oath a silent testament. They came not for glory alone, but with a profound understanding of their dire mission ahead. Sacrifice. Their purpose was clear: to delay the inevitable, to bleed the beast, and buy Greece precious time. They were to be the dam, holding back a human ocean. Every moment gained was a future moment. Their courage would be a beacon, a story told in hushed tones, sparking defiance in the hearts of others. This was more than strategy. It was a sacred trust, a duty owed to ancestors, to generations unborn. They knew they were likely marching to their deaths. Yet, in that grim truth, lay their greatest strength: to leave a mark, a memory of fierce resistance that would forever echo, inspiring defiance against tyranny. So, they dug in, fortified the narrowest point. Every stone placed, every shield readied, a fervent prayer. The old Phocian wall, a testament to past struggles, now renewed, would be their first, desperate barrier. The Spartans, at the very front, stood like an immovable rock, a shield against the coming relentless storm. And then, silence. A profound, heavy silence stretched, pregnant with the world's anxious, waiting breath. The air grew thick with anticipation. They waited, knowing dawn would bring an unstoppable, crushing force. Then, a tremor in the earth, a distant rumble. Dust clouds rose, growing, consuming everything from the east. An empire poured itself into the pass, a river of humanity. The sheer scale was truly terrifying. Xerxes, the great king, watched bewildered. So few against so many? Surely they would just flee. He sent his skirmishers, light probes to test their resolve. A dance of death had truly begun now. But the Greek line held, a wall of bronze and iron. Unbroken, unyielding, they met the challenge head-on. The Spartans, a living, breathing machine, pushed back. Every thrust, every shield bash, a testament. They stood firm, a quiet, resolute defiance against the storm. Their will, forged from hardest rock. This was not just a battle, it was a defiant roar against darkness, a flicker of hope. At Thermopylae, the gates of hell opened. These few, with unwavering courage, held them shut for a time. The morning light, a fragile hope, touched the ancient stones. History was about to breathe its first desperate gasp. Against that endless tide, a line of brothers stood, their hearts beating a silent, defiant rhythm. Then came the first wave, a murmuring sea of men, sent to test the unbreakable will of a few. The silence broke. A brutal symphony of steel and courage began, a sound that would echo through ages. Arrows rained down, obscuring the very sun itself. Yet, the Spartans stood, unyielding beneath the terrible storm. Their shield wall, a living fortress, held against the deluge. This was discipline forged in fire. The pass grew slick with the cost of defiance. Every foot gained, every life lost etched in blood. From his golden seat, Xerxes watched, expecting quick victory. Instead, only stubborn, costly resistance unfolded. The sun climbed higher, baking the pass, yet the Persian onslaught never faltered, nor did the Greek resolve. Still, they held, a testament not just to strength, but to a spirit that refused to bend. New faces replaced the fallen, a relentless, crushing weight of humanity against the unyielding few. Screams, grunts, the clang of steel, a chorus of battle, a desperate prayer in the chaos. In a Spartan's eyes, you saw not fear, but a quiet, burning resolve, a different kind of fire. Persian spears, slender and countless, shattered against bronze, a testament to superior craftsmanship and courage. The sun dipped, painting the horrific scene in hues of weary orange. The first day had ended. They pulled back, a weary step, but the line remained unbroken, a stubborn defiance in the twilight. Night brought a cruel quiet, haunted by whispers of pain. Tomorrow's fight already weighing heavily. Xerxes in his opulent tent seethed, his grand army halted by a mere handful of men. Leonidas walked among his weary few, a silent pillar of strength. Hope flickered in their tired eyes. Another dawn broke, cold and grim, revealing the brutal truth of the ground they defended. Again the Persian tide rose, bringing new faces, new fury, against the steadfast shield wall. And again, the wall stood, a solid, unyielding barrier against the empire's might. Simply remarkable. The pass became a butcher's bill, an altar where countless lives were offered for a fleeting victory. Their numbers, a black sea, seemed infinite, a never-ending wave against the desperate, defiant rock. In their eyes, you saw it, a unity born of common purpose, stronger than any sword. His face, streaked with grim determination, held an ancient resolve, a warrior's unwavering, silent promise. Bronze and skin, slick with sweat and blood, telling tales of brutal, unceasing combat. What an ordeal! Persian officers, desperate, drove their men forward into the terrible, unyielding embrace of death. The sheer weight of empire, an unimaginable force, yet it was stalled by so few. The phalanx, a perfect machine, turned every Persian advance into a costly, brutal, messy retreat. Xerxes' anger boiled. A king denied his victory. The stubborn resistance was a personal insult. Then came the legends, the immortals. Xerxes' final desperate gambit to crush this defiance. Their disciplined steps echoed, an ominous rhythm. An elite force, designed for victory, now facing the impossible. The fight intensified, a ferocious dance between legends. Even immortals faced an unbreakable wall. Their famed tactics faltered. The narrow pass, a terrible equalizer, swallowed their elite advantage. Flanking attempts were met with grim resolve. Every move, every feint, anticipated by these warriors. Discipline met fury. The Spartans, a rock against the endless waves, held their impossible ground. Each ragged breath, a tiny victory against exhaustion. Their lungs burned, but their spirit would not. The sun set again, painting a grim canvas. Another day of unimaginable sacrifice had ended. Xerxes paced, his grand invasion stalled, his frustration a burning inferno. What defiance this was! They held. A handful of men against an empire's might. An impossible, breathtaking defiance for days. Leonidas surveyed his brave few. A quiet moment, perhaps knowing the profound cost yet to come. In that pass, a legend was etched in blood and courage, a story that would never ever fade. The world remembers. A few stood against an empire, proving that willpower can indeed move mountains. The shadows lengthened, mirroring a darkness stirring within one human heart. A desperate secret was about to unfold. Ephialtes, a local man, knew of a hidden path, a winding goat trail, unknown to the main Greek forces. For promises of gold and glory, he revealed the Anopeia, a way to bypass the mighty Spartan stand. This ancient shepherd's trail, known only to a few, ascended behind the formidable Greek defensive lines. Word reached Xerxes. Hope, once dim, now surged through the vast Persian encampment like a swift river. The immortals, Xerxes' finest, were dispatched. Their mission, to exploit this sudden, treacherous opportunity. They climbed in silence, a serpent of humanity slithering through the darkness, intent on their deadly purpose. High above the pass, guarding this very path, lay a small contingent of Phocian soldiers, vigilant yet unaware. Then, a sound, a flicker of movement. The Phocians finally realized their grave, isolated danger. They prepared for battle, knowing they faced impossible odds, a torrent against a mere handful of men. The grim news, like a cold hand, found its way to Leonidas. Betrayal, outflanking, annihilation loomed. His mind, a strategist's fortress, processed the cruel intelligence. The choice, stark and terrible, materialized before him. To stay meant death for all, a glorious, yet perhaps ultimately futile, sacrifice for so many young lives. He saw their faces, remembered their stories, felt the weight of their families' hopes resting squarely on his shoulders, a king's duty. Not just to lead in battle, but to protect, to preserve, to decide life and death. The Spartan code demanded ultimate sacrifice, yes, but not a senseless, wasteful end for all allied forces. The agony of leadership, the lonely decision of a king, bore down on him in that quiet, desperate hour. The strategic mind prevailed over pure warrior instinct. His decision, though heartbreaking, was made clear. The order, once uttered, would send ripples through history, shaping the very definition of sacrifice and courage. He spoke, his words cutting through the morning stillness, a decree both merciful and devastating for all present. The non-Spartan Greeks were to retreat, to preserve their strength, to fight another day, to live. A wave of understanding swept through the camp. They were being spared, but at what an unbearable cost. Farewells were exchanged, hushed and heavy with unspoken fears. The bonds of shared danger now abruptly severed. He watched them leave, these brave men, knowing their lives were a prize worth paying with his own. Their retreating footsteps echoed a bittersweet victory, a preservation of future hope in the face of certain demise. Then there were those who stayed. The Spartans, of course, their destiny forever intertwined with this narrow pass. 300 men of Sparta, each one a living testament to an iron will, an unbreakable ancient oath, and with them, the 700 brave Thespians. They chose to remain, sharing in the Spartans' noble final stand. Even the 400 Thebans, held by force, found a grim resolve, bound now by fate to this legendary moment. He spoke not of retreat but of glory, not of fear, but of an eternal mark on the scrolls of history. The hot gates, the narrow defile where courage would meet overwhelming force for the very last, decisive time. Each warrior knew their fate. No surrender, no retreat, only a final defiant roar against the tide. The enemy approached, a storm of men and metal, closing in from both front and now, ominously, the rear. The betrayal was complete. The outflanking maneuver, a cruel twist of fate, now sealed their heroic ultimate doom. Leonidas met the reality with calm resolve, surrounded, outnumbered, yet unbroken in spirit, as a true king. They tightened their ranks, a small island of defiance against an ocean of steel. Their final moments drew near. The air filled with the clang of metal, the shouts of men, the raw, brutal symphony of a desperate final stand. They fought not for victory, but for principle, for honor, for a defiant message etched into eternity. One by one, they fell. each man a testament to courage, his last breath a whisper of enduring defiance. Leonidas, their lion, fought fiercely, a king among warriors leading his loyal few into the embrace of destiny. Then, even the lion fell. His sacrifice, a beacon, would forever illuminate the path of selfless, ultimate courage. Around their fallen king, the remaining few formed a final shield, defending his body until their own last moment. Arrows darkened the sky, a final curtain falling upon their valiant, unyielding resistance. The end was near. Silence, a profound, heavy silence. Yet, their spirit, their legend, echoed across the ages, never to be extinguished. The last screams faded, leaving only a chilling stillness. The wind whispered secrets through Thermopylae now. The ground, once alive with valor, now cradled countless souls in its silent crimson embrace. Even the victors moved with heavy steps, a hollow triumph bought with an unimaginable price. Xerxes surveyed the scene, a victory stained by the stubborn, defiant blood of these few. Amongst the fallen the Spartans lay, their faces turned to the heavens, untouched by fear. Then, amidst the slain, a figure emerged, regal even in death, Leonidas, king of Sparta. A king's fury, perhaps a sliver of respect, warred within the great king's troubled heart. But anger, raw and vengeful, won the day. A dark command was then tragically uttered. The ultimate indignity, a warrior's body, once sacred, now defiled in bitter vengeance. A final, cruel insult to a hero whose defiance pierced the very soul of an empire. Yet, even in this horrific act, Leonidas's spirit of pure defiance could not be broken. With the pass finally breached, the Persian tide surged forward, relentless, towards the heartland. Across the land, distant eyes watched the unstoppable march, a chilling dread gripping every soul. The whispers of defeat spread like wildfire. A somber song carried on the autumn wind. Athens, a city of grace, prepared for its tragic fate, its people fleeing by sea. The sacred Acropolis stood, silent sentinel, awaiting the inevitable brutal touch of invasion. Empty streets, echoing silence. The great city lay exposed, a heartbreaking, desolate shell. Then, the fire. Flames licked skyward, consuming beauty. A vengeful inferno devouring all. A beacon of civilization, now a burning pyre. The heart of Hellas seemingly shattered. From distant seas, they watched their home burn, a wound etched deep into their very souls. Xerxes' victory felt hollow, the ashes a bitter taste in the mouth of conquest. Yet, from these very ashes, a fire, unseen but potent, began to quietly stir. Thermopylae and Athens, not the end, but a rallying cry, forging a defiant Hellenic spirit. The dust settled, the echoes faded, but a seed was planted there, a quiet defiance. In immediate terms, yes, it was a defeat, a heartbreaking, costly loss of brave, precious lives. Yet, beyond the bloodshed, a deeper truth emerged. This was a strategic triumph, a vital delay, and perhaps more importantly, it was a profound victory of the human spirit, an unyielding resolve. Every moment gained at Thermopylae bought precious time for Greece's future, its beating heart. Time for the fleet to prepare, to grow strong, for the decisive, shimmering waters of Salamis. Thermopylae became more than a battle. It etched itself into the very soul of courage. The ultimate sacrifice, freely given, resonated through generations, a testament to what truly matters. It whispered a timeless truth. Freedom is not given, it is earned, often with blood. A stark, powerful message against all who would seek to dominate, to enslave others' wills. News of their stand ignited a fire, inspiring every free Greek heart to join the common cause. From the ashes of that pass, Greece found its voice again, its strength, its defiant roar. And so, the legend was born, carefully woven into the fabric of human storytelling forevermore. A story passed down through the ages, a powerful echo, resonating through every generation's spirit. Its spirit, of self-sacrifice and liberty, became a bedrock for what we call Western civilization. Even today, its lessons whisper to us, reminding us of courage, choice, and enduring human dignity. It's not just history, it's a feeling, a quiet resolve that lives within each of us. We remember the names, the faces, the choices made on that narrow, fateful path. Their stand wasn't just about winning, it was about choosing what truly defines us. The legacy of their courage, a flame passed down, still burns brightly within our shared human story. It speaks a universal truth. Sometimes, the greatest victories aren't measured in battles won. They are measured in the unconquerable spirit, the unbreakable will, the unwavering human heart. Thermopylae, a sacred whisper, an enduring memory, forever etched upon the very soul of time. And so, we arrive at the quiet echo of Thermopylae, a story whispered across millennia, never truly fading. It stands as a testament, a stark, beautiful monument to human courage, etched deep within our very souls. A defiant stand, a refusal to bow, against odds that seem to swallow all hope and light. A handful of souls, facing an empire, chose freedom's burden, even when it meant their final breath. Their heroism wasn't just in their strength, but in the quiet, burning conviction deep within their hearts. A fierce, unyielding spirit, much like these blossoms, blooming defiantly against the harsh, wind-swept plains. This defiant act, small yet profound, became a beacon, illuminating paths for generations to come. From that narrow pass, destinies were forged, not just for Sparta, but for the very idea of courage. Thermopylae whispers to us still, its message clear: some things are worth fighting for always. Like this ancient tree, their spirit endured, rooted deeply in the earth, reaching for eternity. Understanding these stories helps us see the threads connecting past and present, wisdom for today. What does Thermopylae mean to you, my friend? Share your thoughts below, please. Let's continue this journey of discovery together, building a community around shared history. Join a leading analysis channel for more profound historical explorations. Your insights enrich us all.